typography and design. There are two different types of font styles. There's serif and there's sans serif. Serifs have these little tails at the end that accentuate the letter or the character. Serifs are helpful when there's a large amount of text that is smaller. The smaller little serifs or accents on the characters helps the reader distinguish the letters much easier. Sans serifs lack these little accents. And because they lack these little accents, they make fantastic headlines. And without the accents, it can make these bolder headlines pop out and remain clean and simple. A third category of font is script fonts, and they are everywhere. Script fonts have their own special use in design. They can help add a more natural look with their smooth lines and lack of strict angles. And you have to be careful using script fonts not to use them too much because it can overwhelm the design piece. So you'll notice here that these two fonts pair very well together. That's because one is a serif font and the other one is a sans serif font. Rarely do two serif fonts pair well together as in this example. Same way with two different types of sans serif fonts, it's really good to mix them and mix your different font types as well. It's also a good idea to experiment with your font mixing. In this case, the script font works really well with the sans serif, but it also looks good with a serif font as well, so just experiment a little bit and have fun. Font weights come in two basic sizes. There's usually light weights and there's bold weights. And then some fonts have everything in between, from thin, light, medium, bold to heavy. Railway is an excellent font that has a wide variety of font weights. Helvetica is another fine example of a font that has a wide variety of weights. And the more font weight options that you have, the more flexibility you have in your design piece. And that's why Helvetica is used so much in design. Gill Sans is another example. When you use two different font weights in the same font family, you notice they pair very well together and provide a balance to your typography. Spacing makes all the difference. There's default spacing, which is what you're seeing right here, the spacing between the characters. And if you widen that spacing, you'll notice the characters in the text take a different look. And that could mean, in this case, an elegant look with wider spacing between the characters in this example. And there's also tight spacing, which has its own use in design. If you want to be loud and bold, it can really get your attention when you reduce the spacing between the characters. Some fonts do not work well with certain spacing. Take, for instance, lowercase lettering. Too much space between lowercase lettering can look a little hard to read. The opposite's true for some spacing between all caps. They tend to be much stronger and look a little bit better. Script fonts look horrible with any spacing, tight or wide. The spacing between the characters are basically three different terminologies. Kerning, which is when you manually put the spacing between the letters. Tracking is when you do basically kerning, but the computer does it for you, which is what you'll see on most programs that you'll use. And spacing is just another term that people use as well. Italics are amazing, and they can make wonderful accents. Italics work really well with multiple lines and a longer headline to bring out a certain word or group of words. Any way to break up the monotony is a goal in design. Lowercase letters have a softer, more gentle feeling to them. This can accomplish a certain feeling you want the viewer to have when looking at your design. All capital letters work really well for headlines, but they tend to have a stronger, louder feeling to them. In some cases, this may not be what you want the viewer to feel. In some cases, it's necessary for grabbing one's attention. But in the end, as with everything in design, a balance of lowercase and all caps for headlines usually work better. Find ways to shake up your typography usage by using a beautiful combination of serif and sans serif fonts together, using a mix of capital lines of text and lowercase together. This mix ensures your design is interesting, diverse, and unique.